when you look at the rebuild as it's currently constructed, and Ant, you and I talked about this on the phone earlier today, one of the things that people are kind of focusing in on, and I don't blame them for it, is when you look at where a team is at in their rebuild phase, the three positions that are the most vital, right? 1C, number one defenseman, number one goalie. You could maybe make a case right now that Zavragan playing over in the KHL, young, doing really well, he maybe is the guy that you can hang your hat on and say, you know what, we think down the line he could be the number one goalie. He's the guy in the pipeline. They also like Bjarnason, and they like some of these other guys. Okay. So maybe you have your number one goalie. Number one defenseman, we could probably agree. That guy's not on this team right now, probably not in the pipeline yet. You're going to have to find that guy somehow. Sanheim has done an admirable job of becoming a top pair defenseman, but probably not a number one long-term.
Agreed.
Yep.
Center, I mean, would it be great to have Trevor Zegras develop into a number one center? Like, it would be. Do we think it's probably going to happen? I would say more likely he's a 2C, and that's a very valuable thing.
I think he's more likely a first-line winger.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
He's
Bundy?
not, because defensively, you have to. When you're a top line center, you have to also be really good defensively.
Yeah.
And he's got a long way to go in that department.
So, like, if you look at that checklist, you go, all right, maybe the goalie, definitely not the number one defenseman, and as of right now, it kind of looks like on the number one center. There might be some people who try to sell you the idea that Jetlachenko.
No, he's never going to be a number one center.
I don't necessarily know what Nesbitt's going to be. There's still some improvement to be made there, size-wise and skill-wise. Like, maybe there's a top six forward there. I bring all this up because when you come back to Tippett and you come back to Konechny, those guys would have interest from other teams on the trade market in theory. I don't know if there's a way to use either one of those guys to get somebody in the pipeline who maybe is, I don't want to say fallen out of favor with their team, but maybe a defenseman who hasn't developed the way that a team hopes, and you say, you know what, we want to take a shot. And maybe a Tippett for that guy makes sense. Konechny, I have no idea where he would be at, you know, in terms of trade canvassing. So, like, on that report,
so
that
the
they're
report
disappointed.
comes from Daily Faceoff, and my first inkling is this. I think it's a slightly premature report. I'm not saying that it's wrong or that it's misinformed, because it's not. Flyers have not been thrilled with the start to Konechny's season, although he's been better the last few games.
Right.
Like, he's been better. He's got 4 points last 4 games. Like, so he's kind of getting going. It just took him a little bit to get started. That said, you would need to offer up a top 6 player to trade for Konechny. Like that, you're not just throwing away Konechny for nothing, right? So that has to be where it starts. Flyers are not shopping him, and I don't think any team's offering what the Flyers would want for Konechny. So I think you could put that one out to pasture, in my mind, at least right now, in season, no less.
Yeah.
I certainly can put that one out to pasture. The Owen Tippett one is certainly more interesting, and I think that ultimately could happen, but not now. Like, this is not something that the Flyers are going to say, we're moving on from Owen Tippett in November. Like, I think that you might see some, they're going to let it play out a little bit. Look, he's a streaky guy, right?
Yes, he is.
He's very streaky. And streaky players are frustrating at times, right? Because for 6 or 7 games, they're unstoppable, and then for 6 or 7 games, they do nothing. And so you're like, oh, can't you just be a little bit more consistent, right? I think that when you look at their contracts, I think that they're less happy with Tippett's contract than they are with Konechny's. And so therefore, if they had an opportunity to move that one, I think that they would. But again, it's not going to be something that you're just dumping it, right? I think that it's a situation where you try and find a need in another spot, and maybe it's somebody else who's got a similar type player under a similar type situation, and it's a swap of change of scenery guys. That's where I think, because I look at Tippett.
That's where the Bo Byram thing, I think, kind of came from.
Yeah, maybe, and look, and everybody's been talking about. So Marc Bergevin, former Canadiens general manager, is now a senior advisor for the LA Kings, was at 3 straight Flyers games this week, sitting in the press box. So everybody panicked. Everybody's like, the Kings must be interested in a trade. Trade them Owen Tippett for whatever. What I will say to you on this is this. Marc Bergevin is a senior advisor, so he's not a chief scout. He's not he's just an advisor. And the Flyers had 3 home games in 4 days. That's an opportunity for somebody to see 4 teams.
Yep.
May not be just to scout the Flyers. They're scouting 3 other teams as well. Okay? So don't make a lot out of that. That said, I think Owen Tippett is a player who would succeed somewhere else with a better playmaking center, right? I mean, in my mind, I think that if he has a real, true playmaking center, you would see a better version of Owen Tippett. And
Isn't that what we? But in fairness, like, isn't that what you'd say about most wingers who have like top 6 aspirations?
but that's why
Is
they're
that, like-
wingers,
Yeah.
right? That's why they're not centers. They're wingers for a reason, because they need to be a Robin, not a Batman.
So put him with Zegras then.
That would be my thought.
Yeah, but the
too,
problem is
but
the
then-
problem is that Zegras is not always playing center. So Zegras needs to be on a line with another guy like Dvorak, right? That's why that's been the pairing.
But see, then that's your problem, though. Like,
That's
if,
the
if,
problem.
if in
that's
order,
why.
in,
That's why I just said that.
in,
Yeah.
in order for you to unlock the guy's potential, I don't know. See, we can go back to that Tippett deal. I think I said at the time, I was not a fan of that deal. It's a long-term commitment. Bundy, I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it is. I find that a lot of games, he makes decisions on the ice that I don't think a guy. He's 26. It's not to make it sound like he's, super old or anything. He makes mistakes on the ice, like boneheaded plays that I would expect like a 22-year-old who's overthinking.
He's
the game.
one of those guys who's not getting to the middle of the ice.
He likes to play the perimeter. There's
Yes.
no doubt about that.
And I think that's what's driving them nuts about him, is that if he would just get to the middle of the ice a little bit more, it would make everything a lot better.
Do you remember? Wasn't it in one of the Mighty Ducks? I know.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want the
Was
call
it
to go
one
away.
of the Mighty Ducks movies? Is the one where the kid was super super fast but he couldn't stop?
Yes.
Was that like D3? That might have been D3.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
That to me is like Tippett. It's like you have these games where you go like, oh, look at the speed. The speed's incredible. It's next level speed. If you can't do anything with it, right? If you're blowing past your line mates and you still can't make a play, well, then the speed doesn't matter. Like, having that skill set's great if you have somebody who can match that speed or maximize it. Right now, it doesn't seem like he has it.
I just worry about him and Zegras, because Zegras is not a good defensive forward. Having the two of them together on a line.
When you wouldn't want to blow it up. Like, I mean, how about Cates? So, like, we know that the Forster breaking Cates line has worked well.
Cates
He's not a
isn't
playmaking
Zegras.
center, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that's the
and
difference.
Couturier, like,
Yeah.
the speed thing is a pretty big
Yeah.
deal. So, okay, interesting.